The Own Your Intuitive podcast is for the creatives, spiritual entrepreneurs, and light workers in the world. The shining ones who have been told to dim their light and stop believing in magic. I say screw that. The time to rise is now. To bring your gifts out into the world in a big way, creating a business that feeds your soul and your bank account. You are a magical being with the potential to change the world, one human at a time. The time for you to own your intuitive is now. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to begin the chakra series again, going back to, the simplest form of energy that I can support you guys with during this pandemic and during the time that we are, grounded into our house and homes, but also grounded into our bodies and grounded into connecting back into the very essence of who we are and our connection to Source Creator. I was lucky enough to download in 2017 to be the recipient of the gift of being able to read people's chakras and to go and share energy space with them and align in with what is a block or self-sabotaging experience that they're still holding on in their energy centers. And through doing hundreds and hundreds of chakra readings, a lot of patterning started to present itself. And I want to support you guys right now in any discomfort that you might be feeling with what's going on, with being, as I like to deem it, faced with ourselves right now. We can't run. We can't distract ourselves with social gatherings, shopping, going to bars, eating out, meeting friends, concert. We now are being given the gift of really accessing what's going on in our own internal bodies and given the opportunity to release through awareness anything that is no longer serving us or of our highest good. And so I wanted to begin again with this series, beginning at the root chakra, because root chakra represents connection. It is inclusivity. It is feeling supported. It's our identity, if you will. And we might feel that sense of tribe or connection or, unifying energy through our work, through our social activities, through, being able to hang out as extroverts with our friends. And so we feel that light of connection, of acceptance in those ways. Well, right now, we don't have access to forming or connecting to our identities through that means anymore. It's gone. We are being asked to stay within. And honestly, who are we when we are not those things? That's what the root chakra is asking us and calling us into right now. And so if your root chakra is feeling a little bit like, vulnerable and raw right now, it's going to present as distraction. And distraction means that you're not going to be able to sit still. You're not going to be able to focus. You're not going to be able to, place anything into the world through Facebook, through posting, through showing up. You just feel unsettled. And that's because, again, root chakra represents being grounded into who we are and who we serve. And if everything was external, how do you center and ground yourself back into who you are without those things? One of the things you might be noticing with the root chakra being out of alignment right now as well is it's calling you to witness other people in your life differently. So this could be, family members, friends, people that you have associated with for a great amount of time. And maybe you notice that they're vibrating lower than you, or that they're getting caught up in the coronavirus fears, and you no longer feel aligned with that. It doesn't feel right to you. And so it leaves you in this place of in between. Ooh, I don't know what to do because I don't feel like I connect with what these people are doing or saying anymore. I want to create something new, or maybe take this time to set something else in motion for myself and for my life and for my family. And yet I feel like I'm being sucked into a vortex of overwhelm, fear, anxiety, and such. So there's 4 pillars of your root chakra to explain why this is happening. We have 4 ways in which the root chakra can kind of let you know that it's not vibrating at its highest level. And these are fear of judgment, seeking approval, people pleasing, and not having clear boundaries. Because when you are feeding any of your energy into one of those 4 things, then of course you're going to be distracted, right? Because all of those things will ask you to distract yourself from standing in the fulfillment of your divine purpose, your soul's calling, your stardust, as I like to say. So if you can imagine, God, universe, creator, bringing this beautiful receive into your body, and it gets to this way, I call it the energy funnel, where it's traveling through your energy centers and it gets to your root chakra. And if you are fearing judgment, seeking approval, not having clear boundaries, or people pleasing, this beautiful receive, like a leaky bucket, flows out of your body in the direction in which it is not serving you, it's not serving your collective, it's not serving your community, and it's exhausting. So how would these show up right now is, if you're talking about fear of judgment, if you are actually enjoying this isolation, if you are realizing that you don't want to go back to work because being at home has triggered in you this yearning to set into motion something that you've always dreamt about. If you are, thinking about feeling more connected in the way that you are connected with your family and your friends, and you're just, let's call it happy, right? Sharing that out into the world feels very taboo. I talked about it on the last podcast, how happiness feels rebellious right now. And so you feel like you've got to keep these things to yourself because you feel like people will judge you. And so then you don't allow yourself to feel that happiness. You don't put yourself into this stardust mode in which you're shining your light out and utilizing this time to heal the world as the healer that you are. Or you're not allowing yourself to fully appreciate the time with your family and your friends because you're fearing the judgment of others. And so you can feel how vibrationally that dips you down and it seeps energy out the wrong side of what we consider your non-preferred reality. Seeking the approval is a way right now, especially with what's going on, that there could be different, I'm so over the word triggers, I'm not going to lie, charges in your body is what I'm calling them now, is where something's happening in your reality and you get charged by it, meaning there's an experience, an echo, something from your past that is being held within your body energetically. And so polarity happens, something happens and it charges this experience within you. And so you start to live it as if it is happening in real time. And so it almost expands the experience. So you could be saying things like, I don't know why I'm so upset right now. This person just commented, or this person called me or said something, but I'm really fired up, or I'm really sad because this is, and you're like, it feels like a really big emotion for something so small. And so with these charges that are occurring, what's happening is that we feel the need to go back to seeking approval. I can't do this. My mom's going to be upset. My dad's going to be upset. My kids are going to be upset. My husband's going to be upset. And so we're like, is it okay if? Is it all right? And we start asking other people what their thoughts, opinions are on us expressing or expanding into these higher vibrational states based on past programming. So we start to, again, lose our energy because, of course, no one's going to know you, your life, your experience, what you're placing out, how you're showing up, or what your vibration is, but you and creator, right? And so every time we're like, what do you think if I do this? Or what would you do about this? And somebody says something that doesn't align with what you really want to hear, all of a sudden you feel your frequency drop and you're like, oh, then I guess I won't do it. And so right now, more than ever, again, it's about tuning into your own vibrational frequency, connecting up to Source, Creator, God, and really aligning, especially at the level of the root chakra, into who you are, who you serve, what your stardust is, and how can you step fully into, creating that in which you were put on this earth to create. Because I truly believe we're all born with something that we are meant to shine out. And it could be that this is your calling to step into that right now. The other way is that the root chakra is kind of being rocked right now is in this people pleasing, right? And I mean, I am a recovering people pleaser, let's be real. But people pleasing right now is everybody may feel or seem as if they are in worse situations than you are. right? And so, the media and social media, so not just TV, I'm talking about like your computer, Facebook, everything, Instagram, is saying, do everything you can for everybody else right now because, they are the ones suffering and there's a lot of emotional crisis and there's a lot of things going on in the world. And yes, there is. And I'm not saying that we don't support those, but the first person that we support is ourselves so that we have the energy and the capacity to be able to support others more fully, right? Because if you are a drained person trying to step in service, then the quality in which you're serving your community, collective, and tribe is lowered. And we can distract ourselves with people pleasing to not actually have to turn in and do our own work as well. And so right now, it's easy for those who are people pleasers to be like, oh, look at me. I am so needed right now by all of these people. I can actually see my own worth in how much people need me right now, and it distracts me from doing my own work on myself, disrupting your whole root chakra again. Now, boundaries have also come up during this time, right? Because again, we want to be in the highest service that we possibly can to our kids who may be confused, to our partners who may be confused, to our own clients, if you have clients right now who are, in need. And this was the one where I had to come into alignment. So the first week of isolation, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to support my clients right now and I need to lean in. And so I started adding all these bonus calls and supports and everything that I possibly could do to support everyone that is working with me. And it felt really expansive. I want you guys to know that. I was like totally aligned in that. And it felt like I was charging up this like powerhouse of healers and light workers and empaths to step fully into serving their community, collective, and tribe. And it felt like a radiant boom of light. By the second week, though, the difference in what had happened in that experience was I was losing my self-care routine, my boundaries. And it wasn't even that I had changed what time I got up or what time I went to bed, but it was that in the mornings I got caught in social media, just mindlessly scrolling. So the hours of operation were the same, but what I was doing within those hours were not what I had already said as what are my personal policies. What do I need to do every day to show up as my highest vibrational self? So in the mornings, instead of doing meditation and reading and journaling, I was losing myself and my energy into a world of make-believe and illusion, if you will. And so the boundary release was in me kind of sinking in last week and going like, oh my goodness, I know what I need to do in order to be the highest vibration that I possibly can. And so coming back into that service of myself first and setting stronger boundaries with myself so that I can set stronger boundaries with my clients and my kids and my husband so that I can be of the highest service to all people at all times. So the ways that your root chakra is going to show up as being out of alignment in this isolation is that discomfort of, questioning, who am I? What am I here to do? I'm so lost. Maybe, and I'm going to give you an exercise to support root chakra here in a second. It's very profound. It saved me in a big way in 2016 after my son and I had stopped talking due to his mental illness. He was 17, and the scariest thing is that I had devoted my life to being a mom and a son. So a mom to Ethan and a daughter, not a son, to my mom who suffers from mental illness. And in that moment of identity crisis, and I remember walking into my living room and going like, oh my goodness, my son and I had just stopped talking. I had an open road in front of me, which this isolation and this pandemic is kind of giving us an opportunity to see without these things. Who am I, right? Who am I first and foremost? And it was the scariest place I've ever been in my life. Without the identity of being a mom and having all of these different titles and just being Tamara, I was like, I'm not sure. And so the first step that I did, and this is where I'm going to offer you guys an opportunity to do something to reconnect here of who I am. What do I like to do? Who can I serve from this place? is, mine was to write a list of 50 things that I love to do. I took Leonie Dawson's program. I joined her mastermind in 2016. And I don't remember if she gave us 50 or 100 things that we love to do. But I mean, it took me days to do this one piece, right? And so I remember having to come into this place of understanding, what is it that I love to do that is not attached to somebody else? So again, here we're trying to take away from the judgment, the approval, the people pleasing, and the boundaries, and write a list that if I were to just think about what it is that I love to do, who am I? And like, I had to go back into my childhood and remember what I loved to do before I was told not to do those things. And it was from this list, you guys, where I was writing, I love to tell stories. I love to write poetry. I love to read books. I love to all of the things that I have created my business from since then. I've written 3 books because of this list, with more coming. I have, I love to be at home by a fireplace. I'm a snuggly bear. And so my business has morphed into being an online business so that I can be home with my kids. I can be home in snuggly bear mode whenever I desire. And again, it all came from this list that began it all. So, when you're thinking about your root chakra and you feel maybe that, some people in your lives are not vibrating at the same frequency you are, you're in this discomfort, think about if you're fearing judgment, seeking approval, not having clear boundaries, or people pleasing, and notice where that energy is going and how it's distracting you. And if you were to pull that energy back into yourself, because for me, seeking approval was big, and all of those things were very real before 2016. And those that I was seeking the love and the approval from, it didn't matter what I didn't get it, right? We can be real. And so you might be facing this right now. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Nothing is good enough. Nothing is right. And I noticed when I gave less energy to that, so if I gave 5% of my energy to seeking the approval and the love and all the, support, I got the same result as when I gave 100%. And that was an eye-opener for me at the root chakra level. So I could pull my energy back into myself. I wrote the 50 things I love to do. And I thought to myself, well, what is a better way to support this beautiful pool of energy? And literally the story for me is, if it doesn't already exist, create it. And so ever since then, I started to create community, one that vibrated at the same level as myself. I started to call the right people into my lives to align with what is a vibrational match. And so there's opportunity that you're not actually in a space of loss, but in growth of seeking and aligning with people who see the world the same way as you do. And you're not seeking their approval, and they're never, ever going to judge you. And they will tell you when you're not having clear boundaries. And so we're in this beautiful place where you have opportunity for awareness, and everything begins with awareness. And, as I say, awareness is the open book to easy, because if you didn't notice it before, you could never shift or change it. And so through the series that I'm offering you, this is a place to come into awareness, to notice what's going on in your body and how to shift or transmute or, realign with what does vibrationally match with you. And so I would love to hear how writing the 50 things that you love to do impacted you. And again, if there's anything that came through for you during this podcast, please send it to me in an email at tamara@tamaraarnold.ca. This is a moment where you can choose to align with the same vibrational frequency as yourself and start to create something towards a future that feels expansive and aligned with who you are and what you want to do in this world. So I do look forward to hearing from you. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and have the most magical day ever.